To start, you can just come kneeling on your mat and just sit on your heels with your knees straight out in front of you. And if you would rather sit cross-legged or with your legs out in front of you instead, obviously that is totally fine. And then just let your arms rest on your thighs and then check in with your ribs and your pelvis and just notice if you're like leaning forward and arching your back or if you're really rounded under. Either way, just find a space where your sitting bones are reaching down towards the floor, sort of through your heels or through the ground, depending on how you're sitting. And then just let your ribs soften against your spine. And then take a big inhale. Feel your ribs go wide to the side. And then just nod your chin and think about finding length through the back of your neck. And then let your arms slide forward as you round down a little bit more. Maybe your hands hit the floor. And then you're just going to peel yourself back up on your exhale and find your neutral position that you started in. Take a big inhale. Exhale, nod your chin. Find length in the back of your neck and then round down. And then on your inhale, roll yourself all the way back up. Pause at the top. And then when you're ready, take another exhale. And then roll all the way back down. And then from here, you can just walk yourself forward into an all fours and then bring your knees right underneath your hips. And then to start, find length from the crown of your head to your tailbone reaching long in opposition. And then keeping your upper back neutral, just think about rounding your low back. So think about drawing your hip bones up towards your ribs, narrowing the sitting bones, and then just think about widening the sitting bones, getting a little arch through the low back, but keeping the upper back pretty stable. And then again, just narrow those sitting bones around the low back. And then widen the sitting bones. Find that extension through the low back. One more time. And then find that extension and bring it back to neutral. And then we're going to do the opposite with the top of our spine. So your low back, hips are going to stay right where they are. And you're just going to reach your shoulder blades away from one another and then drop your head. So you find that rounding through the upper back. And then you're going to find a little extension through the upper back. Reach long back through the sitting bones and then just think about widening your collarbones through your arms. And then widen your shoulder blades across your back. Again, tailbone reaching back and then drop your head. This one's a little harder. And then again, find that extension. Think where your sports bra band would hit if you are wearing one. And then lengthen through the front of your chest. And then again, round just through the upper back. Last time. Upper back. Keep reaching back through the tailbone as best you can. And then find a nice neutral spine. And then round your whole spine up towards the ceiling. Really reach your hips up towards your ribs. Head is nice and heavy. And then widen the tailbone. Send the collarbones through the arms, reaching forward for that extension. And then again, round up towards the ceiling. Two more. Excuse me. And last one, round up. And then find that extension. And then find yourself back in a nice neutral pelvis here. And then just think about extend your right leg back behind you. And then curl the toes under. And then reach back through your heel and the crown of your head, getting a nice stretch through that calf. And then you're going to slide your weight forward so you're nice and even over your hands and knees. And then pick that hip up, or that foot up. Check in with your hips and make sure they're nice and square towards the floor. And you're just going to tap that leg down and then reaching it back up through the back of the leg. You can point your toe here if that's more comfortable. Think about gently externally rotating the upper arm for both arms so you don't start to cave forward. Think about being nice and tall and supported as you continue to lift and lower that right leg. For 3, 2, last one. Put your leg down and then Bring the inside edge of that right foot towards the ground and bring your left foot out at an angle. And then you're just going to open up and reach up into a little modified side plank here. And then think about reaching that right arm up towards the ceiling and then reaching out the outside edge of your right foot, getting a nice stretch through that hip on the right side, and then let that right arm come up overhead, let your head be heavy. And then reach it all the way back up, and now you're just going to float your right leg up, and then tap the inside of that foot down, and then back up and down. Pressing the floor away with that right, or rather the left side. Reaching up towards the ceiling with that right hand for 4, 3, 2, last one, lower that foot down, and then again, think about reaching through the outside of that right foot, and then the right hand as you side bend over, and then bring that right hand down, bring your left leg back to neutral, and your right leg in underneath you. Same thing on the other side, so extend that left leg, now tuck the toes under, send your weight back into your heel, get a nice calf stretch. And then shift your weight forward, and then you're just going to pick up through the back of that left leg and press the floor away. Again, slight external rotation of the upper arms. Foot pointed, flexed, doesn't matter. Checking that those hips are nice and neutral. Head is nice and neutral. 4 more. 3, 2. Last one. Place that foot down, inside edge of that left foot. Swivel the right foot out to the side. Press into the right hand. And then open yourself up and out to the left side now. Reach down through the left side, outside of the foot. Hand up towards the ceiling. Keep finding that reach and length as you square your hips off. Head is in line with your spine. And then reach your left arm overhead. Enjoying this nice little stretch here. Reaching through the fingertips on that left arm. Shoot them back up towards the ceiling. And then you're going to lift that left leg up for 8, 7. Keeping that leg more or less right in line with your spine. So like your heel, when your leg is lifted, you could almost be standing on it. For 4, 3, 2, last one. Reach the outside of that foot down towards the floor. Left arm overhead again. Take one more stretch here. Really press the floor away with that right side. And swivel your arm around. Bring your right leg back to neutral. Left leg comes back underneath you. Take a nice big inhale, then exhale. Push the floor away, round your spine up towards the ceiling. And then sit back onto your heels. Walk your hands forward and take a child's pose for a second. Think about really breathing wide through your back, nice and broadly. And then come onto your left hip. And what is this? Left forearm. Knees are in line with your, or whatever, or like at a 45-degree angle from your hips. Heels in line with your butt. Press the floor away. Find that connection through the armpit, almost like you're drawing your shoulder blades slightly down. And then your hips are nice and square. You're just going to keep your feet together and you're going to open up into a clamshell and then really think about resisting as you lower back down. And then open out and resist back down. And then open and resist. And open and resist. I'm not sure what the temperature is for either of you, but it's currently 70 degrees and sunny, which makes no sense. So thanks for coming because it's really nice out. 4 more. Again, resist down. And as you resist, think about reaching your tailbone long so you don't get any rounding of the low back. 2. Last one. And then come up onto your left arm and you're going to reach your right arm out to the side. And then you're just going to rotate and reach that right arm down towards the floor. Think about lengthening through your spine and then reach it back open. and then reach it down towards the floor, rotating and lifting your spine, and think about uncurling and opening. And if you can bring that arm slightly back behind you and open your chest more towards the ceiling, and then twist and reach, and then open. 3 more. And open. 2. And last one. Now plant both hands down. And then you might need to shift your hips a little so that you can more comfortably have both hands on the ground. My left knee is more or less parallel to the top of the mat. My hands are down, and I'm just going to reach back with my right leg. So my right hip is open, but hips are rotated towards the floor. And I'm just going to lift that leg up and then bend it in over my right leg, or my left leg rather, and then reach it long behind and underneath me. And then bend it in and reach. Think about lengthening your chest through your hands so that you're not rounded here. You want a nice, proud chest. Bend it in. And 4. 3. 2. Last one. Leave that leg long. Lower it all the way down and then pick it up and hold for 10. 9, keep thinking about lengthening your chest open. 4, 3, 2, last one. Lower it down and then just sit back onto your butt, and your legs will be out in front of you, and then bend them onto the floor. Hands can be on your shins, and then think about lifting yourself up nice and tall, and then reach your arms out in front of you. You can think like you're holding onto an imaginary ball, or if you want, you can put a pillow in between your knees, or a ball if you have one, but also just use your imagination. That works just as well. And then lengthening your spine. Think about tucking the tailbone under and creating space in the front of your hips as you round back halfway. Pause here, and then round yourself and stack your spine nice and tall all the way up to the top. And then come back off of your sitting bones again. Think about making space in the front of your hips. Sacrum would touch the floor first. Pause here, inhale. Exhale. Roll all the way back up. 3 more. Hold the bottom for a breath. And then on the opposite end of that breath, stack yourself up nice and tall. Last one. And coming forward. If you notice your abs have started to pop up towards the ceiling as you're rolling back, don't go back so far, and then just take a moment, take a deep breath, pause, and then on your exhale, find that engagement again to find your connection. You're going to pause here, and you're going to lift up with the right leg, and lift up with the left leg. And right, and left. Again, thinking about that space in between the front of the hip and the thigh. That didn't make sense. The front of your hip and your abdominals. There should be length through the hip flexor when you're not lifting the leg. Last one to each side. Good. And then you're going to bring your legs all the way together. And then you're just going to extend the right leg long, bend it towards the floor. Same side. Extend and bend. Arms are long, chest is lifted. Keep thinking about rolling, or rather tucking that tailbone under for 3, 2, last one. Switch sides. Extend the left leg. Bend it back in. Keep thinking about squeezing your knees together, but from the inner thigh for 6, 5. We're going to roll all the way down after this. 4, 3, 2. And last one. Lower that leg down and then extend your right leg all the way, extend your left leg, and then continue to roll all the way down. Reach your arms up overhead. You can hook your thumbs if that feels good. Just take a big stretch. Maybe you have a yawn that was trapped in there like I did. Whoops. And then you're going to bring your arms up more or less in line with your shoulders. Take a nice big inhale, exhale. Press down through the arms, lift the head, neck, and shoulders. And then on your next exhale, draw the ribs towards the hips and round yourself all the way up. And go ahead and reach over your legs. Let your shoulders relax here. Drop your hands and stack your spine all the way back up. And you're going to come over onto your right forearm now. So hips in line with your glutes, knees at a 45-degree angle. Press the floor away and find that connection through that right side. Again, thinking about engaging through the armpit, almost like you're sliding your elbow and forearm towards your body. That will help you find that engagement. And then open up into that clamshell, reaching the tailbone long, not rounding the low back at all. If you would like, you can also look down at your arm if that's more comfortable than looking straight ahead. Julio's working really hard in this class. 3 more. 2. Last one. Good. And then come up onto your left hand. So to start, just leave your knees where they are. Your right hand is more or less in line with your hips, and you're going to reach through that left arm, press the floor away so you're really opening from fingertip to fingertip, and then you're just going to rotate down, and then twist and open. And then as you reach that left arm towards the floor, think about lengthening your chest and spiraling towards the floor, and then open back up. And then again, reach down, getting a little bit of rotation. And up. 3, 2, and last one. All right, so from here, you're gonna bring both hands towards the ground. So bring your right hand a little bit closer to the right side, right leg about parallel, and then find that extension. And if this isn't comfortable, you can just lay all the way down on your side and just leave your your right leg, same thing, parallel to the top of the mat, bent at a 90-degree angle, and do the whole thing there. I should have said that on the other side. So find that length. Bring that left leg in line with your right leg, and then extend it long for 8, and bend it in. 7, 6, good, getting that extension through the front of that left hip. 3, 2, and last one, hold it here. Lower the leg down, rotate, and reset yourself. And then you're going to lift that left leg up and hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, lower it all the way down and rotate yourself. From here, you're going to bend your left heel so that you're sort of in a 90-90 position. You can make it a full 90-90 if you have the space. There we go. So, right shin is parallel with the long end of the mat in front of you, and you're going to bring your hand onto your left hip and your right hand to the floor. So first to start, just notice where your hip is in space, especially if you don't have any arms on the floor. I'm really heavily leaning towards the right side. I'm very tight. So, hand on the floor. Use that to sort of help leverage you to be a little bit more upright, and then feel how you can get that left hip and sitting bone a little bit closer to the floor. Hand in the crease of that hip, and you're going to think about lengthening through that hip as you spiral up and around, opening up through that left side, quad, hip. And then from here, use the weight of your hand to help guide your hip back towards the ground. You're going to rotate towards the legs. And then again, twist and rotate up and around, and then back down. Really using your breath here. It's hard. And then back down. And if you find a place that's particularly sticky and you just want to stay there, that's fine. We're going to do 2 more. And then do a nice side bend. as you're rotating, particularly towards the legs, try not to let that right knee come up off the ground much. Last one. Good, and then square yourself off. Bring both arms out to the side, and then side bend up and over to the left. And then plant your right hand down, lift your hips, and side bend over to the right. And then place your hips down and side bend over to the left. We're gonna do this 2 more times. Right hand down, reach the hips up, really press them forward to get a nice stretch through the side body and the hip. Left hip in particular, and then over. Last time, lifting all the way up. And then lower that hip all the way down, and then stack your legs one on top of the other, and you're gonna come back down onto your forearm one last time. Extend your left leg long, right leg is underneath you. Excuse me. And then reach your left arm up towards the ceiling. Again, find that connection through the underside of, or through that right side of your body. Draw your elbow and forearm in towards your hips, and then press your hips up. Find a nice side plank here. Tap your hips down, and then lift. And then tap down, and lift. 5 more. Think like you have a little hammock underneath your hips as you lift up and lower back down, and up, and lower down. 2 more. And we add on. Last one. Pause here. Lift the top leg, lower everything down. Lift the top leg, lift the hips, lower everything down. And up, and down, and up, and down. 4 more. Check in on that right side. Make sure it's supporting you. 2 more. Last one, stay lifted. Lower that leg for 8. 7, keep the hips where they're at. 6, head is in line with your spine. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and then lower all the way down. Stack your knees-ish, or just pull them in towards your body, and then take a nice stretch over to the left side. Good, and then we're gonna switch. So, starting with that 90-90, or as close to 90-90 is as comfortable for you. Obviously, if being 100% 90-90 doesn't work, it doesn't work. Left hand down, trying to sit up nice and tall. First, just check in where you're at, and then right hand to the right hip crease. Okay. Think about lifting the hips, spiraling up and around to the left, like you're just gonna sort of keep going around and around and around as you shoot through like a diagonal from where you currently are. And then twisting and rotating over those legs, sending that right hip and sitting bone towards the floor. And lift up and around. And back down. We're gonna do 4 or 5 more. You can go at your own pace here, but really think about going nice and slowly, really finding that rotation and the stretch. 3. 2 more. Last one. Just think about whether or not this side is maybe a little tighter, a little less tight. You never know. All right. So find your nice neutral. Arms out to the side, side bend up and over towards the right. And then place your left hand down, press through the shins, lift up, reach the hips forward. You can think about tucking them under a little bit more to get that the stretch rather through your hip flexors, and over to the right. And up. And over. One more. Last one. Good. And then come all the way down onto that forearm. One more time. Left leg tucks underneath you. Right leg is out long. Feel that left arm pull in. Find that connection in the underside of your left. On your left side, not the underside. And then lift the hips. And then tap them down. Hips are staying square in front of you. You can come into a fist if that's more comfortable. This is driving me crazy. I have a piece of hair on my arm. There we go. 3 more. And then we're going to add the leg. 2. Good. Leg and hips and down. 7 more. Using your breath. And initiate it before you move. Sorry, dog. 3 more, I think. Neck is long. 2. Last one, stay. Lower the leg for 8. 7. 6. 4 more. 3. 2. Last one, lower all the way down. Bring those knees in by your side. And side bend up and over. Good. And then bring your legs out long in front of you. Oh, sorry. And then sitting up nice and tall, tuck the tailbone under, roll all the way back. 1 vertebrae at a time. Sacrum should be the first thing to reach the ground. Your feet come with you. And then lay all the way down. Give yourself some room. And then bring your feet underneath or in towards you, near your butt, but not all the way in like this. You want your feet firmly planted on the floor. Let your arms be a little wider than shoulder width, and then feel your back be heavy on the floor. So you want your back ribs on the ground, you want your sacrum on the ground, your hips are heavy, and then you want to think about a little bit of heaviness in your chest so that you really keep those back ribs on the floor and you're nice and supported here. You're going to bring your right leg up into tabletop and then your left leg up to meet it. And just see what happened. If maybe your chest wanted to lift, so you had a little air gap almost underneath your upper back on the mat. And then from here, you're just going to lower your right leg down towards the floor in a bent leg and resist to bring it back up. Keeping your legs in tabletop, you're going to alternate to the left. And if you feel anything starting to pick up from the floor, you're going a little too far. You're losing that control. And again, start your movement after your breath has been initiated. It's pretty hard to start breathing in the middle of moving. It'll be much smoother if you start first. And left. We're going to do one more time to each side. Last one to the left. And bring your knees in towards your chest. And then out towards your shoulders, armpits. And then you can just give yourself a little rock here, whatever feels nice. And you're going to bring your legs back towards one another in tabletop. From here, you're going to glue your heels together. And you're going to externally rotate your legs. So they don't need to be super wide. Just find that natural, gentle external rotation from the quads. And then you're going to bring your legs back together. You can send your heels a little bit away from you if this is more comfortable. Externally rotate and then resist to bring it back together. So your heels are staying pretty still in space. And if this is too much, drop your heels to the floor and you're going to do it just like this. The same thing, just with the support of the ground for your heels. 3 more. 2. Really think about that lift of the pelvic floor and using your breath as you bring your legs together in this clamshell, just in a different plane. Last one. Good. Pause with your legs externally rotated. Bring them in a little bit, but try to keep yourself in a neutral pelvis. And then you're going to press out to a 45-degree angle and think about zipping your legs together. And then bring them back in, coming past that 90-degree angle. If it is helpful to go up to keep your connection, go up. Don't go so low. Think about squeezing those heels together and doing everything you can to try to zip your inner thighs together from the base to the knee. As you lengthen. Good. You got opening through the backs of the legs, drawing the inner thighs together, and then peeling the knees away from one another. 2 more. Last one. Good. Bring them all the way in, and then bring your knees together, and again, just rock back and forth. And then you're going to bring your knees back to tabletop, and then bring your arms up over your shoulders. Reach your rotate your palms to face one another, and then reach them up towards the ceiling so your shoulder blades lift off the floor. And then just let them be heavy and find a nice neutral spot. And then from here, keeping your thumbs reaching back behind you, you're going to extend your right arm, left leg, and resist to come back in. And then switching sides. Resist to come back in. If you'd like, you can make a little fist and send your thumb back if that's easier for you than keeping the flat hands, your choice. Two more to each side. Moving nice and slow and controlled. Last one. Pause here, and then open both arms, both legs out to the side, and then resist to bring them back in, but don't let them touch. And let them resist out, and then resist to bring back in. So feel your lower abdominals wrap, your pelvic floor lifts, your ribs drawing towards one another, and a little length across the back as you bring your arms in. 2 more. Last one. Lower the left leg down and then the right, and then bring your arms down by your side. Again, slightly wider than your shoulders, and then your feet are planted. Nice neutral pelvis. Tuck your tailbone under and find that reach and length of that low back along the whole floor. And then resist back to neutral. And then draw the hips up towards the ribs, find that length through the low back, and then press through the feet and keep peeling yourself up off the floor, 1 vertebrae at a time. Tuck the tailbone under so you really feel that opening through the front of the hips, the shoulders stay on the ground, and then peel yourself back down, creating length, trying to get your hips to touch down maybe a millimeter farther away from your head than they were when you picked them up. And then again, ribs towards the hips, tuck that tailbone under as you peel yourself off the floor. Pause at the top. Feel like someone is pulling your knees away from your head. Your heels are sliding back towards your head. So knees and heels in opposition. And then again, peel yourself all the way back down, lengthening your hips away from your head. Last time, peel yourself all the way back up. Make this as much a stretch as it is an activation. And then from here, you're just going to hold and lift the right arm up and lift the left arm up. And then pull the arms wide to the side like football goalposts. And then send the back of the palms towards the floor. And then send the palms towards the floor the opposite direction. So you're just rotating through that shoulder joint. Let the arms come up overhead. Again, feel those knees go away from you as the hips come towards you. And then reach the palms, the hands back towards the floor, goalpost, and then opposite direction. This probably has a name. I think they do this in football, but the rest, I don't know. Good for shoulder mobility, that's what this is. And you can look and see if maybe one hand is closer towards the floor than the other. 2 more. Check in with your feet, your hips, your back. Last one. And then send the backs of the, move my phone out of the way, send the backs of the hands towards the floor, and then reach your arms up overhead, trying to keep your whole arm on the ground, and then resist to bring it back to that goalpost. And then back up and down. If you need to drop your hips an inch or two to make them a little lower, go for it. You can also place your hips all the way on the ground. Back to goal pose. Lengthen, feeling that space across the front of your chest. I get a little stretch, especially as I bring my elbows back down. And then open up, slide the fingertips away. 2 more. Make sure you're breathing. And last one. Good, and then slide your arms all the way down towards your sides. And then peel yourself down as slowly as you can. Feel the weight settle into your hips. Finding that length. Again, that tailbone is tucked under. And then release towards the floor. And then just give your hips a little rock from one side to the other, letting your knees go. Windshield wiper. And then just let them fall over to the left side. You can come back to those goalpost arms if that feels good, or have your arms out to a T. Just let your legs rest over to that side. If you want a little extra stretch, bring your left foot onto your right thigh, like down by your knee, but not on your knee. And take a few breaths here. I feel this all the way up into my hip, mostly because I'm tight. One more breath here, and we'll do the other side. If you have your foot hooked, take it out, and then just do a few windshield wipers to each side before we switch. And then when you're ready, settle your legs over to the left. Again, if you want to hook that right ankle now over that left leg. Again, near the knee, but not on it, somewhere on the thigh. Taking a few breaths here. One more breath. And then plant the feet. Last time, just a few windshield wipers. See if you have maybe a bit better range of motion. And then reach the legs long. And you're just going to flip over onto your stomach. Sorry, that was not very graceful. Okay. So on your stomach, have your hips nice and square, nice and heavy on the floor. And then you're going to bring your arms with your palms face down right underneath your shoulders. Actually, I'm sorry. You're going to bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. So you're face down, and let your shoulders come towards one another. Really let them slide in towards your spine. Your head can be a little heavy here. You're going to press into the ground and then lift your head first thing. So your gaze is either right at the end of your mat or a few inches in front. So you have a nice long neck, but you're still compressed through the spine. So from here, you're going to press into the floor a little bit more and feel your shoulder blades slide away from your spine. Once you have that space, you're going to think about pulling the elbows back towards your hips as you lengthen your chest forward to find that nice extension through the upper back. Put a little bit of weight into your pubic bone so that you have that length through the low back and you're not compressed. Tiny, but small but mighty. And then from here, you're just going to think about lengthening yourself all the way back down towards the floor. Sink down, let your head be heavy. Again, press a little bit into the floor, find that length through the neck. Press into the floor a little bit more as you find that space across the shoulders and chest. And slide that the elbows back towards your hips as you put weight into that pubic bone to find length through the front of your spine. And then lower all the way back down. Last time. Lengthen through the head. Press the shoulders away, down. Shoulder blades slide away from one another. Elbows back towards your hips. Pubic bone is heavy. Find that space. Take a nice big inhale here. And then exhale, bend the right leg in and extend. And bend it in and extend. Think about lengthening the front of that thigh as you bend in for 3, 2, last one. Extend, other side for 6, 5, 4. Press the floor away. Keep saying shoulders, I mean elbows back toward your hips for 3, 2, 1. Lengthen the legs and then slowly peel yourself all the way down towards the floor. Make a little pillow for your forehead and shake your hips out from one side to the other. And then from here, now you are for real going to bring your hands underneath your shoulders. You can bring your feet wide, sorry. Your knees can be a little wider, or you can bring them more narrow, whatever's more comfortable for you. You are going to wrap your upper arm in towards your sides. Take a big inhale, and then you're going to press the floor away as though your exhale is propelling you up into a little kneeling plank if you need. Bring your knees in underneath you a little bit more. From here, tuck the tailbone under and then find that length through the front of your chest. Julio, do you want to do push-ups? And then bend your elbows back towards your hips and then press the floor away. And then bend back down. Press the floor away. You have 6 more. Keeping yourself in one nice long line. Head lowers at the same rate as the rest of your body rather than before. I'm sorry, Julio, we're almost done. For 3, 2, last one. Press your hips back towards your heels and then take a nice breath here in child's pose. And then you're going to come forward. Julio, please move. All right. You're going to come into your plank. Thank you. And you are going to be on your feet if you can. If not, you can be on your knees rather, no problem. Tuck the tailbone under. Again, find that length. And then you're going to send your hips back into a down dog. Soften your knees if you need. If you're on your shins, on your knees in a kneeling plank, you can come into down dog or you can just come into a child's pose, your choice. And then you're going to uncurl yourself into a nice plank. Excuse me. Again, lift your hips up. Bend your knees if you need. Think about length through the spine. Coming forward and finding that nice plank. 3 more. Really think about hinging at your hips as you come back into that plank. As though someone just picks your hips up and sends them back behind you. 2 more. Last one. And we're going to pause one last time in our plank. Pausing here. And you're going to lower all the way down, elbows back towards your hips, all the way onto the ground. And you're just going to bring your hands back into a pillow for your forearms. Now bring your knees wide, bring your heels together, and then just undo your heels from one another as you start to windshield wiper from one side to the other. Play with the distance of your legs from one another. Maybe you want them wider. Maybe you want them closer together. And then lower your legs all the way back down. Press yourself back into one last child's pose. And walk your hands over to the one side, doesn't matter what side. Whichever hand is on top, you're going to reach that hip in opposition back to really get a nice stretch all the way through the side on that. And then coming back through center over towards the opposite side. Really reach long fingertips in opposition away from that same side sitting bone as you're rotated. And then come back to the center. Slowly peel yourself all the way up. Bring your knees together, just like we started. And then reach your arms all the way up towards the ceiling. You can lock your thumbs if you'd like. And then lift your chest a little. And then find that neutral spine. Let your shoulders relax. Externally rotate the hands. And then press down, grow tall through the crown of your head like you're a corkscrew. And let your arms find your legs or your sides. And you are all finished. Thank you.